Level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. All right, so Argentina. All right. Did you see that video of, it was probably a month or two ago, of the guy who had a gun pointed like point blank at the president's face?
Yes.
And it misfired?
Yes.
Dude, can you imagine if that had not happened and that was on video?
Well, boy, absolutely. And you know what's crazy is that was we got home like a week before that. So it was nuts, and they were actually talking about but it's funny, they talk about the collapse of their currency. They talk about the collapse of their currency like we talk about, missing to take out recycling one day. It's no big deal,
like every 10 years.
That's exactly what the guy said. And of course, everybody's like, oh God, how can you deal with things? Like, it's easy. You just don't have any of your, you just don't have any money in Argentine currency. It's pretty simple that way. I was like, I guess that's true.
Well, if and when that ever happens here, we're going to be in really bad shape because no one here has really has experienced that or knows what to do, more or less. So it's going to be worse here. They're going to look at us and be like, "Oh, what's wrong with these guys?"
Oh, well, look what happened. Well, I mean, and I've talked about that, and that's why I think having Rancho Bandito is so important, because what is the one thing besides gold that has always been used as a form of currency throughout the history of time?
Well, or a store of wealth. Yeah, just land.
Fur. Yes,
Are you gonna start trapping?
Absolutely. Yes. So that's the goal. In fact, I might get started because doctors say I got a bit of a weight problem. It's going to take quite a few furs to to cover me, even in the office, even in the season when you wear shorts. But it'd be great. Start trading pelts. It's like you go to Walmart, like, okay, that'll be $225, please. Okay. And I'm digging in my basket, and that's one Bobcat pelt. And
right. I guess we got to get this one started. If these folks are wondering, what the hell are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, hi, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit podcast. Jimmy here, along with Corn Bandit. Richard, what's going on?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry. It's just we're always sorry. Life is life, folks. And but here we are. We're doing our best. I think we're doing better than we did last year. Last season was crazy. Of course, this hunting season has been crazy as well, but it's I think we're recording a little bit more. Is it raining down there with y'all?
God, I wish it did this morning.
Okay, there's a big line that's coming through. One of those from talk about diverting the topic. My God, from Canada all the way to Mexico.
Oh, good.
One of them there big. Anyways, it's starting to pour out here, so perfect timing when we start this.
Well, what that means is it'll come down here and it'll rain in New Braunfels, but it won't rain at my house. That's how it always works.
Right.
It's absolutely amazing. But anyway.
Yeah.
So the folks heard us talking about currency collapse in Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a good segue into, I guess, what we promised in the last podcast or two, a recap of your trip down south, the Southern Hemisphere. So take it away.
Yeah. No. So we went. We went to Argentina. So for my 40th birthday, my dad says, what do you want to do for your 40th birthday? Mind you, this was in 2020. Okay. So I March 2020, I was turning 40. And of course, that's when the contra virus was out. And everything was all screwy. And boy, you think we were affected here. It's something we can hit on later. Hearing these stories about COVID in Argentina was incredible. They actually quote unquote pride themselves on being like 95% vaccinated, which was crazy. And the reason why they all did it is because the government took such horrible measures and basically shut down the entire country, for effectively a year and a half, to whatever reason. And of course, tourism and agriculture is their big thing. So, if you're in the tourism business and you can't have tourists, well, you're too out of luck there, buddy.
Terrorists,
yeah,
terrorists.
Yeah, that's what we were. Yeah, so it was they were in really bad shape for a while there. So that was kind of interesting here from them. But anyway, we finally made it down there. Things had changed as far as travel and how you get there, what you do compared to when you and I went in 2010. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. But when you search for Argentina and outfitters and all that, they're really kind of it's tough to go on the internet and say, yep, those are my guys, because they all got great websites and they all look really nice, but it's kind of word of mouth. It's finding an outfitter is really the thing to do, because a lot of the outfitters down there, they're kind of mom and pop organizations and whatnot, and they got rights to all these fields and whatnot. But and people say, well, God, it's Argentina, there's billions of dove everywhere, and that is true to a certain extent. But the dove down there, much like up here, they do move around. In fact, I have a very interesting little piece on that too. That still blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense what they were saying. But and so the reason why I'm saying all this is going with a reputable outfitter, even if you pay a little bit more, is by far the way to go. We ended up going with Miles and Miles Outfitters again, the same folks that we went with back in 2010, and it was phenomenal. I mean, the bird hunting was world class, as it always has been. And of course, kind of half of the fun is the accommodations. It's the place that you sleep in, it's the food that you eat, the wine that you drink, and all those kinds of things. And as you remember, it was just awesome. So we had kind of planned, but we went with my dad, and his son, or excuse me, his friends were having one of their friends, and one of them invited their sons. And my dad said, hey, listen, you get the opportunity, you can bring two of your friends that may not be able to do something like this, for whatever reason. So I picked two buddies, and off we go 2 years later. So it was just an incredible adventure. The first day that we actually got to Cordoba, we actually had an afternoon hunt that evening. But the forecast, and mind you, this was in August 18th, I think, is when we first got there. I think it was August 14th. So people are like, oh, probably hard, and what. But what you got to remember is,
wintertime,
down there it's winter. And so it is just wild, sitting up here in Texas and packing pants, and all that kind of stuff, because you're just not used to it, So naturally, I didn't pack pants, because I'm looking at the forecast going, oh my God, are you kidding me? It's going to be like 65 degrees, whatever. And it's like, I'll throw a jacket in, just, I'm getting old, whatever, no big deal. Oh my God, am I so glad that I brought that jacket, because the one thing I did not account for was the wind. It was as windy as they said they've ever seen it down there.
Wow.
So it was eerily similar to like being in Lubbock. So
I guess if you're in the southern hemisphere, then the south wind would be like a north wind here, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it
coming
was
out from Antarctica,
oh God, and it was something fierce. Now, what's kind of crazy is that it really doesn't affect the birds. It's not like, oh, here comes a big migration. Well, no, there's already 20 billion in the area, so it really doesn't. It really doesn't affect them. But the point of that is you got to go prepared, and look at those forecasts and kind of pack to be able to to undress and whatnot. So that jacket really saved my butt, and I wasn't that cold, but again, I'm glad I had it. But the first day we were there, and I think this is typical in a lot of places, you kind of build up to the coup de grace, if you will, the really good final shoot. At least that was kind of my dad's experience as well, and he's been with Miles and Miles a couple times now, and a couple other outfitters. But the first day we were there, we got really drunk. I mean, really, really, really drunk. Because the guys were like, listen, we're here. Do you want to head out to the field and hunt, or do you just want to go to the lodge and hang out? And it was a unanimous. Nah, let's go to the lodge. Let's go hang out. And so it was cool, and it was great. It kind of reminded me of like opening weekend, at Rancho Bandito, when we're all out there enjoying cocktails and cigars. I mean, God, it was so nice. Well, so the problem is that, again, we were all worked up. It's like we were 21 again, so we really overdid ourselves.
Yep.
Our buddy Matt and I, we were probably the biggest victims. He and I, we did it ourselves. We drank an entire bottle of Jameson. They have wine goblets out there that are, of course, this doesn't do it justice. It's basically like a tennis. Basically, take 3 tennis ball cans and put it together on a stem, and that's what it is. And so, even with somebody as big as me holding it, you're like, I mean, it's like you're like, I don't know, it's otherworldly, Well, you could put an entire bottle of wine in one glass, which was, I had no idea, but I tried it, and it worked. So, the next morning we were both hung over, very similar to the way it was. Yeah. And of course, we're on that van. And
wait, hold on. No. Did the guy in the tuxedo wake you up or anything?
No. Yeah. So what Jimmy's alluding to is that, at all the lodges, in fact, so he works for the Big Game Lodge. So he works for Dickie. So that guy, the good morning.
Yeah.
He
opening the doorbell.
Yeah. He actually works for the Miles and Miles, 2 brothers. Nick is who we were with, runs kind of the bird operation, dove and pigeon and some duck. And then his brother Dickie runs the big game. So red stag, ducks, and a couple other things in Argentina, but also in Patagonia, which is really, really cool. So, but yeah, so they have a butler, and he kind of takes care of you. So, but we did not have that guy, but we did get woken up. So it was kind of funny because this lodge that we're at, they've got dogs everywhere, and they're always very, very friendly. There was a couple of them that were like ex-bird dogs that didn't make the cut, so they just let them hang around the house. So I woke up the first morning of the hunt, and I got my traveling sleep machine on, which I can't even imagine the numbers on my phone. We're probably like, oh my God, this guy is dead. This machine, you've had 65 events because I had the heartburn and I was, just miserable. Well, I woke up. Did
you fix it? Did you figure out how?
I did. Yes, I did. After you and I talked like a month ago. Yeah. And it's great now. It's fantastic. Such an but no, so I woke up the first morning again, hungover, and I opened up my eyes and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is that? And there's a dog in my bed.
What? Oh, I know exactly what happened.
Oh yeah.
Come on.
Big time. Yeah. So anyways, I wake up and there's this little scruffy dog. It's probably got mange and fleas.
Oh God.
He's got his what woke me up is my oxygen was going down because he had his paw on my CPAP. I laughed my ass off. Anyways, and then I was up and at him and still drunk. But that first morning, we went out to a kind of a farm area. And
hold on. You
Yeah.
can't skip over. If it was anything like when we went, 10 years ago or whatever, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
that first drive in the van when they pile everyone in there into that
tough.
van.
It was tough.
Oh my God, clenching the jaw.
Oh, it
was
was
throw up.
It was, yes, it was tough. And so I was in the back and it was real quiet, and it's just, you hear this, hear like everybody kind of like, just kind of like burping in their hands. And Matt actually fell asleep. He was asleep.
Wow.
And of course, I think Trav was trying to rip ass to make us throw up. And it was full on, But when we got out to the field finally, it's just crazy because it's a massive field, and it's got tree lines in the middle of it, and it's all plowed, it's just plowed. There's no crops in there. There's nothing, and there's a little farm area where there's a house and a barn. There's literally no food, no water, nothing there. It is just your typical, and this, I should have mentioned this, in Argentina, a lot of the shooting you do is pass shooting, so you're intercepting them. So these guides, and the guides it's a whole different story. These guides literally spend hours out there on these fields watching these birds and patterning them and kind of understanding where they're going. So, we got out to the field and they drop you off. And so, my first experience was in the corner of this field. I'm just facing the wind, and oh my God, I mean, I was blue. I mean, I was cold. Was shooting a Benelli this time, which was kind of fun. I had never shot a Benelli before. My dad brought up something kind of interesting. He asked if I was having issues with the trigger, and I was like, we're just talking about this a couple days ago, and I'm like, I don't remember. And he seems to think the trigger was a little sticky, and I don't know if it was just that it was been shot 10 billion times or, what exactly it was, but the gun fired fine to me. But we ended up doing okay in the morning. And they actually ended up moving me twice. So I don't think you and I, when we were there, we ever moved. But here they were real quick to they'll and then the van shows up and then we're out of there. So I guess that was Tuesday. I ended up shooting 13 boxes and 188 dove, which I was the most accurate shooter that day, and I also shot the least amount, but still pretty. 188 doves, pretty terrible for Argentina. Now, yeah. I think the other guys end up getting like in the 400 or 500. Still, I mean, it's just an absolute hoot, ball. And again, in Argentina, you've got about 5 different types of species. The one that we were primarily going after was like the tufted ear dove. Okay, and basically to kind of put in comparison for you, take a smaller mourning dove, and that's basically what they were like. So we ended up shooting a couple of parrots that day. I did not shoot a parrot this trip. I did get several pigeons, which, God have mercy, is so much fun because there's just poof, just feathers everywhere, But that was really kind of day one. Day one was, was fun, but kind of uneventful. Day two,
did they have the asado?
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
So the cots out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, no, God, yeah, I totally forgot that. So again, we were all so hungover and just so miserable. One of the guys that was with us, he overserved himself about 30 times over. I mean,
at lunch.
No. Well, he did at lunch, but that the night before, and so. His buddy was recounting a story about how he was sitting with his bird boy, and then his guide leans over to him and is like, "Is that your friend?" pointing to his buddy, and all you can see is his white ass. It's taking a field up. Yeah, just down in the middle of this field, they're just because he's oh God! He told the story at lunch, and we were just dying. Oh, it's so funny. But Anyway, the wind was still howling. It was awful. So
I
they
have
ended
to stop you. Remember the after that, was it the first day when you and I went? I
yeah,
think it was after that first day when you drank again,
yeah.
or first time you drank a whole bottle of scotch, I
Mhm,
think.
mhm.
And God knows what I drank.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
remember the gas stuff?
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah. And
didn't sleep at all, but I couldn't stop.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Mhm.
On fire.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, by like your fourth day there, it's just like all meat and oh, it was incredible. But yeah, so they set up. They set up this nice tent, and you've got wine and they grill all the stuff. And I've actually got a video. I'm way behind, but I took a lot of good video of all the meat and stuff and how they set it up. So that's going to be eventually that'll be on our YouTube page. But they serve you different, kind of sausage, and then of course a ton of beef, and wine, and salad, and bread, and all that kind of stuff. And I did not partake in any of the alcohol, but the second I think I had like one piece of beef and was like, oh my god. I mean, it just hit me. I mean, it hit me like a train, and I'm like, and it was one of those like, well, that's going to happen. This is absolutely going to happen. So we were again on the corner of this little field. And so I'm like, el baño paper, like toilet paper. I'm like, yes, thank you, God, yes, mucho, quick, fast. So I'm doing the penguin across this field, and what was real funny about this is that I'm in a little hedgerow. I mean, I felt like I was, like in France, just breaking out of Normandy because it's literally field, hedgerow, field. And I actually found this hole in the ground, and clearly it was some animal and just dug it out. So,
Oh, no.
oh yeah, just destroyed it. It was so fun. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. So, felt much better, and then the shot a little bit better. So that was good. Had a great dinner. Great dinner. I think that night we had one night we had like ravioli that are really good as well. Obviously, the wine is awesome as well. But the second day, things really started to pick up, and the second day, the wind had taken such a toll on us the day before that they actually moved us down into a river bottom. Okay. Now, what's crazy about this is that this is a legit freaking river bottom. Okay, like you can see when there's a flash flood and it really fills up and whatnot. And the guides had broken off that some of them have broken off the afternoon, went and scouted this, and they went in there with machetes and actually cut out areas for us to hunt. I mean, it was crazy. And so we were effectively hunting over a river. Now, none of us ever saw any water, but again, we're just doing our pass shooting. And then that day it was a hell of a lot better. I think that fact Matt and Trav both. Matt had 1,200. No, Matt had 1,500 that day. And in fact, I think, but actually, all the guys ended up getting there except for me and Dad. They all hit the over 1,000 birds on that day. What was really, really cool is when we were walking down there, we ran to a cougar carcass too.
Oh, wow.
Which was really kind of crazy. And it kind of makes you think, my God, I mean, it was so thick down there. You can only imagine,
I was watching
only. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that was also the place where a new dove hunter and a fellow bandit guy we were with named Jay, he actually shot his first 1,000 dove down there as well. So, and what's really cool about that is that, Jay, he's an accomplished, sports guy. He's only been doing it for a couple of years, but he's a real student of the game, which is really cool and really rewarding for him to get out there and not really have any experience dove hunting whatsoever, and to go out there and just get it, the leading and all kind of stuff. And that brings me into another thing. The wind was so bad that I think it was Jay's bird boy that was telling him, you need to put at least one length of a gun in between the end of your gun and the bird.
Wow.
And so that is lead that I've never seen anything like that before. I mean, and I started trying it, and sure as hell, I started knocking them down, you know. But
Wow.
I guess, you know, and in Lubbock, we had hunted and win like that, but I just don't remember. Maybe, and I'll tell you the other thing, they were a hell of a lot closer in Lubbock. You know, that was the one thing about this trip. The big difference, besides the wind, was just the fact that the birds were so far away. I remember when you and I were hunting the Alamo, and they were just coming right at us.
Oh yeah.
Pouring into us. And we remember you were
Was that the
raining
one
death.
where when I was killing them, they were landing around you?
Land on top of me. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't, and that's kind of what I was expecting. But all this stuff that we had was just past you, you know. And so, anyways, I started trying it kind of off of his recommendation. He was right. I mean, it was absolutely crazy. So everybody started shooting a lot better the second day, myself included. I got some pretty good video. So on Wednesday, I shot 640. That's funny. I don't seem to have a record of the shells I shot. I probably shot, you know, maybe a box or two. But 640 dove on Wednesday. So again, not all that terrible. Going to the next day. So the next day, Thursday, our last full day, and again, they again, as we've always said, they try on Thursday. They really tried to make it kind of the coup de grace, you know, the good play. They kind of saved the best place for last, and so we were actually now hunting on the outside of the river. But what made this area so cool is that we were on the rim of this river. And when I say rim, I'm talking like the river, which again, you couldn't see, but the river bed was 30 or 40 feet down. So we were literally kind of like almost in like little, you know, just on the side of this mountain, you know. And it was fun because I had Matt next to me and he was stealing all my birds and screaming at me. Mind you, he had already killed his 1,000. So he looks at me and goes, you know what? I'm just going to sit next to you and shoot all your birds just to make you angry. Like, you know, bring it on, bitch. Let's roll. I'm ready. So, you know, I have my game face on, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm running out of time here. I mean, here I am, you know, I've been doing this besides Dad, been doing this the longest. I gotta step it up here. So, you know, what made this area so cool is that you were just, again, looking over this canyon and they were farther shots, but you were shooting over this canyon, you know, and you just see him hit the floor, you know, you can see the other guy, they're God, just carcasses everywhere. I mean, it was just so crazy. I had some that were coming over here and that's what's crazy. My bird boy actually said he had never seen anybody, which I was like, hey, good for me, because I did not shoot very well. He the whole trip, he said he had never seen anybody that could shoot over my head like this, anybody like me. He basically told one of the other guys who speak better English. He goes, he missed all the easy shots and made all the hard shots. I appreciate that, buddy. But going into lunch, you know, I was feeling pretty good. I was like at 600, you know, and I was feeling good. Of course, you know, our two buddies, Trav and Matt, you know, they were sitting at like 500. They were just playing around, and of course they were drinking some beer, you know. So I knew what was coming. I knew the pressure was going to be on. Well, Dad rolls in, and Dad's sitting at like 998. Wow. I'm like, holy God. Yeah. I'm like, I was like, listen, I mean, Dad's a great shot. You know, he's a really good shot. But Jesus, you know, where were you sitting? Where you had him? He's like, oh, they were just coming right at me. Anyway, we ended up switching spots. So Dad went to another spot, but we were still within, you know, we're 15 yards away, and then I went to where Dad was, and that's when it got completely and totally Western. I mean, what the difference was at this, they were flying down this canyon. It kind of reminded me of what's that on Star Wars when they're, you know, form up into attack position.
The canyon run.
Right, the canyon run. Yes, yeah, absolutely. It reminded me of that, but no nerdisms, you know. But this time, you know, the dove were kind of banking out like this, you know. So they were literally just kind of they turned that corner like, oh shit, you know, just pow. Well, so here I am. I'm on a roll. I'm feeling confident. And then I listen in the distance. I'm like, oh God, here they come. And both Travis and Matt and their bird boys and my dad come around the corner. And it was just constant hunter harassment after that. Of course, I had Matt trying to film for me. He was dropping all kinds of bad language. How do you get this thing to work? So the video is actually quite funny. And then one of my traditions is with my clothing. I don't like to waste clothes. There's no point. It drives me nuts when somebody's like, oh, this pair of jeans, I can't wear them in the city anymore, so I'll discard them. What are you doing? Don't discard them. Reuse them. So when I blow out a pair of khakis, typically in the ass or typically in the butt, and stretch and they bust a little bit, I will sew them up with fishing line, cut the pants off, and I make them into shorts. Phenomenal. So I wore a pair of those out to the field. And so Matt has a tradition, always has. It's a bad one, that every time he sees that, he likes to rip the clothes off of me. Matt's very strong, and those clothes I have are typically very old, and the fabric's very rippable. So all it takes is one foul swoop, and he's going to rip things clean off of me. So he waited until I had handed my gun over, and he came up besides me and basically tore off the complete backside of my pants. So you can see my ass in my underwear, and the stuff's cut, the stuff
dangling loose.
Oh, yeah. So I'm like tripping over it. So I go, okay, could you please make it into a skirt or something? So he goes, oh, of course. And the whole time he's speaking Spanish to all the bird boys, and they're dying. They're loving it. And he was telling them that I was the president and CEO of Vagisil, and that's why I was shooting so poorly, and all kinds of fun things. And they loved it. They thought it was the funniest shit ever. So he ends up getting a pocket knife and ends up cutting out the complete back of my pants. So I had to sit there and finish my 1,000 birds with literally, it's like I'm wearing an apron. But we ended up getting it. They had a great time, drank a lot of beer, and that was fun.
Did you drink any Kime?
You know what's funny is they did not have any.
What?
Which I found just blown away. They had a beer from Cordoba, and it was fantastic. It was awesome. And it was kind of funny because the only size they had available was like the Foster size. It was huge.
Nice.
Absolutely enormous, but God, they were great. And it was so funny because when you look at a can that you buy over here, they're nice and pretty, but these cans, they look like they have been in a toolbox. You know how they're all like dent scratched and stuff. Like what the hell? I mean, was this real? We could anyway, but it was great beer.
Yeah, they brew good beer down there.
They really did. They really did. I tell you,
if I ever see Kime or anything like that in a store, I always buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I was asking him, like, y'all have that beer begins with the Q? And he's like, oh yeah, Kime. He's like, no, I don't have it here. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, but we drank that Cordoba stuff, and it was really cool. One of the couple of the things that that I thought was really, really, really neat, that had nothing really to do with hunting, was we met Nick's dad. Okay, so Nick's dad he was born in I guess 1939. They're from Argentina. So he had, of course, he was still really young, but he was a wealth of knowledge when it came to Argentine history, which is fascinating. But he was also talking about, I asked him, have you heard any rumors about, Hitler being over here? And he's like, oh, yes. And it was really fascinating to listen to him sit there and talk about this and just kind of the policies back then. And he said, yeah, he had heard about a bunch of high-ranking Nazis, including Martin Bormann, that were over there. And but that was, anyway, just kind of cool to hear that from an actual Argentine, right, instead of the TV. But
yeah.
The real cool thing, not the cool thing, but the impact of COVID, as I was saying, Argentina was incredible, but the impact on the bird boys was just incredible. So being a bird boy in Argentina is actually one of the better jobs that you can have. In this little suburb of Cordoba where the hacienda is, being a bird boy there pays the same, and you have better hours than the highest paid like factory manager in like Buenos Aires. It is incredible. These guys, and he was telling us, because at the end, we tip the bird boys and they go down to kind of where the little armory is, where keep all the shells, and then down where then they clean all the guns, and they were hooping and hollering and yelling and arriba. I mean, it was great, because these guys have just got $300 each.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick was like, oh yeah, they're the richest people in town. He says that Americans, primarily Texans and some Europeans, have changed the socioeconomical outcome of all these little towns because of these $300 tips.
Wow.
It was absolutely amazing. And so of course he said that, when COVID hit, he had to basically tell everybody, guys, listen, we don't, I can't employ you. I have nothing. So they started doing, they took the lodge and made into a B&B just to kind of get by. I mean, he had some pretty scary stories. It was sad, but one of the most fascinating stories he told, and I just don't understand it, was what happened.
Is this the one you alluded to at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna remind you of that if you didn't.
Yes. This is the story of the Dove during the pandemic. They left. There were no Dove in any of his areas. Zero. And he said when he they would go out there and try to hunt, and they maybe would shoot 15, 20. Really? They were all gone, all of them. Nothing was there. And we were all just kind of like staring at him like this, like, what? How is this possible? But he said when they stopped bringing hunters out there, they all left. They all left. And
that's counterintuitive.
And well, just wait till I get done telling this. And so Miles and Miles is one of the top, there's top 5 big outfits, and they're in there. And they talked to a lot of the other outfits, and the majority of the other outfits were saying the same thing. And I said, well, and here I am trying to, whatever. I'm like, well, clearly, the reason why is because at that time they had changed, agricultural practices. Maybe cotton was big and grain sorghum wasn't. She's like, no. He goes, Richard, they changed nothing. Okay, they changed nothing. The Dove disappeared. So when they brought their first group back out, which would have been in January, I think I think it was
this January, maybe
November of 2021, if you can believe it. They were shut down that long. November of 2021, they had that was the first Argentine hunt they had. And then it just got better and better and better. And now it's back to where it was. Huh. And I said, well, Nick, it just doesn't make sense. There's nothing natural that doesn't make sense like this. His theory, and Nick, he's a phenomenal guy. And I don't think I don't think he's superstitious or nothing like me. We didn't get to talk about Bigfoot of Argentina. They probably can't. But His theory was that the dove, know that they are so overpopulated and that their environment there, their habitat there is so conducive to just hordes and hordes and hordes of birds that when the hunters left, they left to almost kind of preserve the area that they were in, because they had this, they knew that they would basically eat it out of house and home with no control over their numbers. And then when the hunters returned, it was almost, he said it was almost like a sacrifice that they fly, and it's just kind of should happen.
Like they sacrifice themselves for the greater good.
Yeah. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. I'm like, Nick, you have a minute. Let me give you a CAT scan real quick. But he was serious. He goes, Richard, I have talked over with all the major outfitters in the area. He goes, you tell me.
Well, yeah, maybe Dove are like the Borg. You know?
Yeah. I'll never forget that. I mean, just fascinating to me. Fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
yeah.
I guess nature. Yeah. Nature finds a way to survive. I guess maybe that's true. But what I remember talking to them when we were down there was how they would say dove, eat something like up to 40 or 50% of all the crops or something down there. Right. And so, yeah, they want hunters to come down there and kill as many as possible. But I tend to remember them saying like, it's awesome, but even if you like brought 10 times as many hunters down here, it would only make still a little dent. Right. I don't know, man.
Right.
Maybe that is just enough to tip the balance, and they realize. I
mean, I tell you, the real conundrum that they're in, and you hear about like the migration pattern in a lot of areas, in the U.S. Is fixated along these areas where you've got these where you got a lot of the grain cereal crops, corn and sorghum and whatnot. Like, that's why Lubbock is such a hot spot, because it's got all that kind of stuff. It kind of makes you wonder, God, and I don't think it'll ever happen, but if Argentina goes, if they start to go away from agriculture and start to go to, I don't know, making wrenches. Okay. And so they stop farming, well, what's that going to do? I mean, you're going to look at an overpopulation, and we're talking dogs and cats. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Camp Wakanda. You're looking at bad stuff. That's a great movie. Which, by the way, I finally watched that one, the new one, on the way home from Argentina. So,
that's
pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
I like it. It was pretty good.
Yeah,
okay. It's pretty good. I mean, it ties in a lot of the old stuff. They all die. Spoiler alert.
But third best though.
Oh God, yes. Oh,
okay.
Absolutely. They did it justice.
Okay,
well, did it justice. Yeah, it was funny.
All right. Well,
if
I can find it, I'll watch it.
Yes, do it. If you got. Sounds like you're gonna have some. Sounds like you're gonna have some time after the kiddos go to bed, so go rent it and watch it. It was good.
Yeah, well, I gotta eat. I still gotta eat dinner.
Oh wow, you haven't had dinner now?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Do it.
So, awesome. What else? Any other stories from?
There's a yeah. I mean, we can.
Oh! Are they still doing like the little ceremony thing with names on the boards and handing out the hats and all that stuff?
Yeah. So actually,
did you see our names from 12 years ago?
So I think no, I did not, because here's what happened. They ended up having to take the plaques down, and because of they didn't like it, but they were so desperate. I wouldn't say desperate for money, but some of the people who started using it as a B&B were like, why do you have all these plaques here? Why are you celebrating all this killing? So they took all the things off the wall, and they hadn't yet put them all back up. So unfortunately, ours was kind of buried. But yeah, no, the my new plaque thing is right here. That thing right there in the back.
Okay.
It is pouring right now. Oof. Yeah. So bastard. No, I know.
But y'all got hats.
Again? Yep, we got a hat too.
And actually, right over here.
Yeah, it actually fits me this time too. I don't know, somewhere around here. The last one I had, like on the last rung, I'm like, seriously, is this made for infants? This doesn't fit. Yeah, but it was great. I tell you what, next time we'll do a. Since this one went a little bit longer, we'll do kind of tips and tricks to get there, because things have changed, and you really you can do it yourself. But again, one of the benefits of going through an outfit like Miles and Miles, getting to pay a little bit more, is that they can really hook you up. They can literally pick you up in Buenos Aires, because you can't fly to Chile anymore. Santiago,
Chile. Insane with all the
so great, because
well.
the Argentines hate the Chileans. It's really funny, because they say things that here in America, you cannot say that, you will offend somebody. This Argentine is like, no, they're just like, they're like 3'5" jungle people. We don't
like the cockroaches.
And of course, we're howling. It's just like, we call it how it is. I'm like, you know what? I think that's what this country used to be. And we're having fun, whatever.
Right.
But no, yeah, we'll talk about some of that, because we did fly into Buenos Aires. We stayed the night. We took advantage of the exchange rate. You got to know when to pay dollars, when to pay pesos. So yeah, it was fun. We can talk about that too.
All right, cool. Well, and maybe in the next one we can talk about deer hunting as well.
Yeah.
Considering it is almost the end of October. So.
Well, and a little preview of that. It's going to be a real interesting year this year. Acorn crops are looking to be, despite the drought, are looking to be pretty decent. And of course, we're getting most of the state, is getting a lot of pretty decent rain, and really has the past couple of weeks. So that's really going to push a lot of those forbs up. But even with that, I still think that feeder activity, unlike really the past, 4 or 5 years, I think feeder activity is going to be a hell of a lot better earlier on, despite the fact that we have a bumper crop of acorns, and we are getting a lot of forbs. And the other thing that was really interesting, again, I've been to Rancho Bandito like 4 times since September. 2 of those times have been less than 24 hours, which sucks, but it is what it is. And going out for dove hunts, even when it's been really, really warm, I saw a significant amount of deer movement at 3:00 in the afternoon. Was higher than hell. Okay, and that kind of tells me that they're out trying to get their bellies full. That, and I think hunting over water, I think would actually be incredibly beneficial. I think those that have got a good supply of water and got acorns, and their place is not completely destroyed by overgrazing livestock, will have a good year.
Yeah. All right. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully we hear some good reports from folks.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We'll see as we get into November or December.
Definitely. Yep. It's
all
here.
Right, cool. You got anything else?
That's all I got, buddy. That's all I got.
All right. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you got some good laughs in. I did. I needed that on some of those stories.
Me too.
A little good stuff. Brought back memories as well from our trip.
Absolutely.
Over a decade ago. So
I know.
Wow. God, we're getting old. All right. Well, stick around, folks, for the next one. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, go fill a feeder while you're at it. Check out your local feed store, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Talk to y'all on the next one. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.